Welcome to our Pro Wife story. Today I will be sitting down with Silvana Lewis. Silvana is the wife of former Carolina Panther Damione Lewis. Do you want to know why she's also called a pit bull in a skirt? Well, I'll tell you what, don't go anywhere because you're definitely not going to want to miss this one.
It's hard to put into words. We're human like anyone else. I'm not the wife of a retired football player. That just happens to be what he did for a living. I'm his wife, but I'm not the wife of his career. That's what makes our marriage beautiful.
Michaela Scurlock presents a pro-wife story with Silvana Lewis.
All right, Silvana, well, I want to set the stage. You born in Venezuela, Damione born in Texas, country boy, right?
Yeah.
You guys meet both at the University of Miami. You an international student. He is a now big football star. You guys start to date. You do everything together. He goes off and gets drafted with the St. Louis Rams, right?
Yeah.
Okay, what do you do?
Well, when we first met, I didn't realize that he was, that he was some sort of like big star. I mean, I knew, pretty much that Miami was known for football, but I didn't understand the concept because I personally wasn't a big football fan. Well, I wasn't a football connoisseur at all. So, I mean, just long story made short, I mean, he even had to teach me what a sack was, where the line of scrimmage was, all that fun stuff. Like, I didn't even know that. So from a starting point, I didn't understand the world of sport at all. I mean, I was going to school and that was my dream. That was where I was coming from, and for me, school was what was important, education and all of that. So when he got drafted, it was a brand new world. It was basically, it felt like college, a little bit, but just a little bit more amplified.
Did you move? Did you move with him?
Not right away.
So you stayed behind and you were still in school?
I was at the time I was working on my master's degree.
Okay, so Damione, so then you just went out and visited him?
Right. And actually, for that, for probably the better part of like those first 2 years, I tried to keep him and what he did as much, as away from from my life as possible. Like, I didn't want people to know that I was dating a college football player. Like, I didn't really want that to mix over because I didn't want people to change their perspectives of me or treat me differently because by then I pretty much understood. At then I'm like, okay, I understand, the way people look at college football players, and especially, I was understanding a little bit more about Miami football, and then him going pro and obviously being a first-round draft pick. I was afraid of, of my possibilities being, kind of being diminished, basically, because all of a sudden, like, it was being perceived like I didn't need to pursue anything.
And long-term relationships are tough.
Yeah.
I mean, they're tough as it is for anyone. But now you add the component of someone being in the NFL, someone, all the money, all the fame. I mean, Damione was drafted in the first round.
Right.
So he was very well known in the community. And you were dating, first year goes by, Damione, I believe, had some issues with his toe right after his rookie year.
After his rookie year, he broke his pinky toe, 5th metatarsal.
Okay, and did he have to have surgery or did it just heal on its own?
It was like a combination. He ended up having surgery and then actually ended up having surgery again, basically within 6 months. So there was a lot going on there.
So at what point were you feeling, okay, we've dated in college, I've cheered you on then, I'm cheering you on now, I'm at your side, at any point, did you ever feel like, dang, is he ever going to ask me to move? Is there ever going to come that long-term commitment? Was that going through your head?
Sure, absolutely, because at that point, we had this really interesting conversation after I graduated. At that point, I was about to take on a full-time job, and I was on the fence. Do I commit to a full-time job? Like, because again, this is what I want to do with my life versus.
So you ask him, do I take
Yeah.
this job?
Yeah.
And he said?
And he says yes. And I'm like,
He said yes, take the
yeah,
job?
take the job, exactly. You know, and I'm like, okay, so what does that mean for like long term for us? Because that's how I think. You know, I just need to know so I can plan, I can be prepared.
I need to back up.
Yeah.
Because in my mind, I'm thinking, the guy I've been dating for 4 years, I've committed to, I'm asking him,
He's met my
hey,
family.
do I take the job? I mean, I'm hoping he's going to say
Right.
to me,
No.
I want you to move here.
Right.
I mean, I'm assuming you were sad, and this, was on the heels of him having his toe surgery, right?
Yeah, again.
Because I know what I would have done.
No, sad.
Stepped on his toe. Seriously.
I couldn't at the
Right. I'm like, wait, you just said.
Right. Well, it was funny. Yeah, he did. He was just like, no, go on ahead, stay in Miami. Because basically, in the way he was looking at things, and of course, I can talk about it calmly now, but where he was in that moment was just thinking, I need to focus on my career and really, just be in that moment, if you will. But on my end, of course, like you're asking, I mean, I was like, no, I need to know where to invest my time.
So you got on the plane.
I did. I got on the plane, took the job, and that was it. And he basically, I told him, I was like, that's fine. This is just what it is. And I basically, from that point on, I started working and just kind of, investing all my time back into myself, which a couple of months later, he wasn't so happy about.
When we get back, I want to talk about that because I
Yeah.
want to hear more,
Okay.
how you stayed in the relationship
Yeah.
and how it all evolved.
Okay.
Okay.
Alrighty.
Thanks.
More of a pro-wife story right after this.
So you returned to Miami. You took your job.
Yep.
Damien went to training camp.
Right. And he just wasn't really happy at that during those couple of months. Our relationship was strained, if you will. And it hadn't really nothing to do with the NFL, if you will. It was really just the point of our relationship. It was just more us like girlfriend, boyfriend, living in different cities, trying to figure out, our futures. If you want, we were 23, going on 24 at the time. So it was just kind of one of those stages. And we were just fighting like cats and dogs. I mean, that's just the truth. And I remember him clearly, just telling me like that he just needs to work on, football, and that I need to like work on me and all that. And I was just like, fine, I will do that. And, and once I did, he wasn't happy anymore. So next thing you know, he's begging me to move to St. Louis, and I just wasn't ready anymore.
So
this went on for like 6 months.
So he was all of a sudden begging you. Was
Yes.
this like during training camp?
Yeah. Or a little before.
So
It was like within a month of him telling me, don't go, go.
What did you tell him?
No, I'm not going because you told me not to.
That's bold of you, because here's the reason. I mean, these guys go through a lot in training camp. That's very emotional. There's a lot of physical stress, mental stress, and you like, sorry. I mean, you may as well just stepped on his toe, right? At that point.
Pretty much,
So,
yeah.
And I heard this from him. I know you guys, we're friends.
Yes.
So I know this.
Yes.
But people were referring to you as a pit bull in a skirt.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm
Yeah.
afraid to ask, but
So basically it comes from all our college days, because again, it just goes back to the fact that when him and I met, I didn't meet and I didn't fall in love with a football player. That just happened to be what he did, if you will, while he was in school. And I appreciated all of that, had fun, all of that comes with it. But I fell in love with him. And that's who I wanted to marry. That's who I wanted to be in a relationship with. So that's really where it was coming from. So as far as, what they did as a team and football and all of that came to me, all of that, that's extra. And, that I'm not buying into that. So, this is who you're getting, and this is who you told me you were. And unless you lied to me about who you were, then
So basically, the fighting was the cats and dogs. You're the dog and he's the cat. Usually a dog wins, from what I know.
I know.
So
Right, so that's where it came from.
Right.
One of his good friends,
Yeah.
one of our good college friends. That's what they termed me as, pit bull in a skirt. Yeah, and it's all good.
So
it's
then,
all good.
So then the season starts,
Yeah.
and at some point, I'm taking it, you gave in. You said,
I did at that point
Yeah.
because it was senseless. We were fighting for really no reason.
Because you were in love, right?
We were.
Yeah.
We really were, and it was just a matter of, are you serious? Are you really committed?
Yeah.
And and on my side too. And then once that happened, he asked me to move up, and at that point we knew we'd get married in the off season.
And how quickly, so you off season? So how long did it take to plan your wedding?
5 weeks.
Okay, so you date for 4.5 years,
Yeah.
5 years, and then you plan your wedding in 5 years.
In 5 weeks, yeah.
I'm gonna move on.
Yeah. That was it.
This is you, because you're like, now.
Yeah,
right?
no, well, both of us, we were like, what are we waiting for? This is ridiculous. What, we've been together, we've been pretty much married for 4.5 years, if you will.
So you transition now.
Yeah.
Now you're not the girlfriend anymore. Now
Right.
you're the wife. And you guys in St. Louis, stay there for 4 years, and then move on to the Carolina Panthers.
Right.
And I know you had shared with me in the past that you've met a lot of friends in
Yeah.
St. Louis, but I also know that when you moved here with the Carolina Panthers, you built even more relationships, and spiritually too. I think you moved on, right? Tell me a little bit about that transition, because that's huge.
Well, St. Louis was huge for both of us. It's just one of those things. Damien and I laugh a lot about those years, because where we were both coming from foundation-wise, like, we knew that we loved each other, and we knew that that was strong. But what we were lacking, if you will, was, and we didn't know it at the time, but we were finding it through the years, especially when we were in St. Louis. We had such an amazing group there. As a matter of fact, the wives, I dare say, were almost closer than the guys were for many years. And it was really a beautiful thing. But what came from that was that Damien and I discovered that, we really needed to build a strong spiritual foundation. That's what we were lacking and truly yearning, if you will. For both of us to have a long marriage, because I come from a divorced family, but he came from, a family that, people have been married, for years, decades, if you will. Divorce really isn't a word in their family. And so for us, that was really important. St. Louis really gave us that foundation, and coming here to Carolina, it really just, kind of exploded, if you will.
And what I like about it is when you say, you guys were fighting like cats and dogs, and we can laugh about this, but in the end, it shows all of us that marriage is hard work, right? No matter who you are,
Right.
whether you are in the NFL
Right.
or not, and you can get through it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it was, and I think sometimes we're afraid to admit, that we have disagreements and stuff, but it wasn't out of disrespect for one another. We weren't fighting out of disrespect. We were fighting because we were really trying to be on level ground, because we come from two different spectrums of life, and so with all that being said, we can laugh. We laughed about it then, which is why the whole pitbull in a skirt came about, because everybody knew that's just how I am. That's how Silvana is now, not out of just being disagreeable or anything like that, but it was just truly about always knowing who you are and allowing that to translate into everything that you do.
More with Michaela and Silvana Lewis when a Pro-Wife Story returns.
So you build relationships at the Rams, build relationships at the Panthers. Now Damien is into this NFL life with you for going on 8 years, somewhere around there at that point.
Yep.
And you're pretty settled in the Carolinas. I mean, you like it here,
Yeah,
right?
we did. Yeah.
Yeah, you got settled at a church, and so Damien, quote, has to leave, right?
Yeah.
Different team.
Yep.
You go to New England.
Yes.
And training camp. A little bit different than all the other things that had happened before, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk about what happened.
Well, when he ended up getting released here from the Panthers, we just figured, okay, well, what's next? And, we ended up going to New England, which we were kind of like, okay, cool. But you kind of expect going to a team like that, if you will. You hear all the, obviously they've won so many championships. I don't know. I guess we were just expecting the same feel, if you will, that we had going from St. Louis to the Panthers, and then going to New England, kind of expecting the same thing. But it just wasn't. And, it could be the fact that by then, he was going into his year 9, and it was, and life is different at that point.
You have things going on in your own personal life, right?
Right, exactly. And then you got, kids, and now all of a sudden you're moving, and all of a sudden it's a job, you don't really want to leave Charlotte, and you love the city. We had literally just found a home church. Finally, after so many years of bouncing
and you
around.
bought your house in Charlotte,
right,
in the Carolinas.
Exactly, yeah. And we had made this home, and the first thing I did was I sent an email to our church director and said, we're moving, because they had literally just started. Yeah. And I said, we're moving, how can we keep up with with the sermons and everything? Because we had made this home. Right. And so that was the first thing. But what ended up happening when he was in training camp was that his mom passed away. And
let me back up a little bit. So he gets a phone call. How did all this happen? Were you told, and then you told him, or how did he find out? Was he on the field?
Basically, he was getting off the field. His dad had been trying to call him. His dad had called me, and we both found out, through his dad trying to get in touch with both of us. And, it was, what else are you going to do? So we picked up everything, and, the kids and stuff, and we went to Texas, for the funeral. We were there for 10 days. I'm sorry. It's hard, because at the time, it's hard when it wasn't even like we were excited about training camp, or, you know what I'm saying? Like you're just there. That's what you got to do, if you will. But knowing that your job was on the line, based on the fact that you're going to be gone for 10 days or however long, nobody takes off that time in training camp. Not when you're the new guy, not when you're a veteran, you just don't. And so when we came back, he played out the rest of the season and all that fun stuff, and didn't make the team. But it was hard knowing that nobody knew why he was gone for 10 days. It wasn't something that was openly shared. So guys were not sensitive when he came back, understanding that that's why he'd been gone for that extended amount of time during training camp, if you will.
Yeah, and I know. Yeah. I know that's hard, because I think it's hard because he made a choice that anyone should make.
Right.
And you, I know, supported him obviously in this choice.
Absolutely, yeah.
And
it's not to say
how did you deal with your emotions? Because I'm imagining everything that he's dealing with is ×2 for you, because you still have to be a cheerleader to him, but there are things going on inside of you, obviously. And how were you dealing with that? How did you hold it together?
I really think that it's not something that you're taught, and it's not something that anybody really tells you. Nobody can coach a wife through those transitions. It's hard because each guy is different, how they, because their positions are different. The expectations on them are different. And, like Damione and I say all the time, who's to say that he would have even made the team, if you will, You know what I'm saying? You can sit here and play all these games if this wouldn't happen, we would have been there, and who knows. But at the end of the day, you don't even know that, So really all you can do to get through that is be in the moment. And that's really how we lived our life for a long time, that we just lived in the moment, and just all I could do was just be 100% supportive of him. I loved his mom. That's why today it's still sad, not to have been there the way that maybe we could have been there for her. But you're gone. Like, there's no way. I mean, you just can't take time off to support family when they're sick. You just can't do that.
Well, you can plan for a lot of things, but
Right.
those are the things you can plan for.
Exactly.
But I'm sure, I know the person that you are, and I know the person that Damione is, and I assure you, she felt that love. Because that love that you're showing us right now, still, I'm sure she felt that before she even passed away, so.
I mean, I hope she knows. That's all we can. So with that, all we knew that we needed to be supportive of his dad, be supportive of the family, you know, and that's why for us it wasn't a, you know, hurry up and get back. You know, I did get a text message, you know, about when are we coming back after 3 days, and you know, the answer was, I don't know, because we're still waiting on family to arrive for the funeral. And that's a hard message to receive, you know, because you know the reason why it's being asked is because you've been gone from training camp for so long, you know, and that's...
But you did the right thing.
Right, right, absolutely. I mean, there's no question about that.
People see the money, people see the fame, people see the everything that is fun or that they think is fun.
Right.
But they don't see that when you're married to a professional athlete, you sort of have to plan life around that job. When you're sick, you go to work. Mm-hmm. If you have a baby and the baby comes early or doesn't, or you try to plan to have a baby, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you can try to plan a lot of those
Right.
things, but you can't plan when a loved one might pass away. That's just not something, and then there come these tough decisions. And what I appreciate about you sharing that is letting people see that you have to make choices. And you have to make the right choices, and those choices are tough. So you did the right thing.
Absolutely. There's something that Damon and I, we've talked about several times, and, you know, moving forward, because, I mean, when you ask about, like, how you support, I mean, it's such a loaded question because it's not even a question. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And
Sure.
it's, you just do. You have to be 100% in the moment, and you cannot worry about anything else. Because at some point you do realize, you know, and it comes with age, it comes with maturity, all that kind of stuff. But in the end, you know, your family is going to be there before, during, and after the NFL.
Well, and I think this was something new for
mean-
Damione, right? Because here he was this superstar for 8 years, a first-round draft pick. I mean, superstar in Miami, first-round draft pick to St. Louis. Great time here with the Carolina Panthers. And then all that happened, and now he finds himself, you know, sort of debating, right? Do I retire? Do I go on a team? Is it worth it? Right?
Is all of this even worth it?
Right.
You know.
So he moves on to which team?
We ended up in Houston.
We go to Houston.
Later that season.
And
yeah.
now you're dragging the kids, right? I mean, you're dragging, because not anymore, it's just Damione and Silvana. Now you're dragging the kids to Houston.
Yes.
And
so that was I think the second move, or the actual third move. You know, now we're going to Houston. Yeah. In that 6 months.
And the kids are like, let's do it.
Oh yeah, by then we'd already built up our little motto of, like, we're Team Lewis.
Yeah.
We go wherever Daddy goes.
Yeah.
And, I mean, you know, they were still in preschool, so we could do it. We were just like, you know, we'll just get a small little apartment and just have fun and live in the city, and, you know,
New Jersey, new city.
it's all good,
Yeah.
but we're still Team Lewis. It's all good, and, you know, we're ride or die.
And then Damione retired after, 11 years of playing? All right, so you retired after 11 years of playing. You guys moved back.
Yeah.
Well, to the home that you've never sold.
Yeah.
Here in the Carolinas.
Right.
And now you're retired.
Yes. And then we literally, like, sat down and, like, 100% decompressed from 2 years of absolute craziness, you know?
And a lot, I think, you have to work through at that point. Because speaking from experience, you know, being married to a retired NFL player, knowing how he is,
it's a perpetual off-season.
Can't sit still. I'm not sure what that is, but it's sort of like always looking for a project. So now I'm asking, was Damione like that?
Absolutely.
Tell me I'm not the only one experiencing this. You know?
No.
So always wanting to be excellent, always finding something to do.
Right.
Because that's sort of like something I feel like that has gotten them to be a professional athlete, because they are always working hard.
Yeah. And want to succeed at everything they put their hands on, you know? And not only does he want to be excellent at everything, you know, and I'm sure Mike is, well, I know Mike is the same way, but also, you know, expecting others to want to be excellent in everything they do too.
I totally am with you 100%.
Yes.
I get it.
Yeah. And I mean, and so...
And that's a very high level that they're putting themselves and everyone around them on. Yeah. So he wasn't sitting on the couch, needless to say.
No. I let him go through his little, you know, veg state, because you have to, you know. I mean, it's totally normal, and I let him go through that, but after like 3 months, you know, I started like saying like, okay, seriously, you gotta get out of this house, because it's like the off season, you know. I mean, when they're in the off season, they just kind of want to chill. They think they can hunt all the time, go fish, go, you know, pick up new hobbies and stuff, and you're like, no, you need purpose. You need something to do, because you can't do this for the rest of your life.
And I'm sure he was looking for it.
Right.
Was that maybe one of the reasons why he sort of decided to surprise you one day? Because I think it was his idea to sell the house.
Yes.
Right? That was his idea.
Yes.
So he said, hey, Silvana, let's sell the house and do what?
Well, he had been playing around with it actually for a long time. As a matter of fact, when we started talking about it when we moved to New England. And when we moved to Houston, that's when both of us said, yeah, we definitely want to. First of all, we loved Houston. We absolutely fell in love with the city. The team was great, all that. You know, but at that point we were in a completely different mindset, and he was just kind of thinking, you know, where does he want to go next, you know, and that's kind of what in his mind he was already there, if you will.
So when we come back, I want to talk about selling the house and what's going on now.
Okay.
Okay, so decision is made. Big house.
Yeah.
Big house. Beautiful house. Damione says, let's sell it.
Yep.
Let's find something a little bit smaller.
Yep.
Something maybe you can get your hands dirty if need be,
Yep.
right? But then I mean some renovations.
Yeah.
You find a house. Great opportunity.
Yes. Yeah.
And you know you're gonna do renovations.
Right.
Did you have a budget in terms of when you were living in the NFL? I mean, did Damione and you decide to live on a budget, or did you just kind of spend money?
We always had a budget.
So you always had a budget.
Yeah, always.
So now you renovate this house. I'm assuming you had a budget again,
yes.
right?
Yeah.
But Damione, from what I know, had some idea in regards to how it's going to look, taking some walls down. Did you hire someone for that, or?
No, he did it himself. He decided that he wanted to do it himself, that he was, going to get his hands dirty.
For everybody to be able to picture this, we
Yeah.
have huge Damione, retired, looking for something to do.
In broadcast school.
In broadcast school.
Yep, and he was still working some, broadcast things, throughout, because it happened to be football season. So he was doing that.
Surprises you, saying,
amongst other things.
Yes, right?
Yeah.
Let's sell the house.
Right.
And by the way, Silvana,
we are going
to take the walls down. Oh, nice.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you guys took what, sledgehammers and just knocked the walls down and...
Well, honestly, he did a solid 99% of the sledgehammer work.
Yeah.
I mean, I was in there, the kids would come in, and come in and take stuff down, and
I mean,
you know?
I remember you sending me a picture one day, and Damien didn't just decide to take down the walls. He took down other things too, right?
He took down a whole chimney by himself because he figured, well, in order to
Nice.
not slow it down and keep things moving, he would do it himself.
And Damien weighs how much?
I don't know if he wants me to tell him.
I mean,
He's a former defensive tackle.
In his prime, how much did he weigh?
About 305 to 320.
So we have a 305-pound
Yeah.
guy
Yeah.
on the roof
Yeah.
in Union
Yes.
County
Yeah.
knocking down a chimney.
Yes, because he felt like
Okay.
that would be the most efficient way to make sure that it got done and done right and kept things moving. You know, that's how he is. If he figured if he
Yeah.
can do, you know, if he can do something himself, why not?
Why not?
Yes.
I want to talk a little bit about you being from Venezuela, because Venezuela is not anymore the Venezuela it used to be.
No.
I mean, things are changing.
Right.
And so you're dealing, you know, with a home front and with things here, but then I think you're dealing also with things with your family there, right?
Yeah, because most of my family is in Venezuela, and just the political situation there for the last 15 to 16 years has not been the best. And, you know, for a long time, we as Venezuelans never thought that the country would get to the situation where it is now. Where, you know, food is rationed, power is rationed, water is rationed. You know, you have one day where you're allowed to shop, and it's with an ID and fingerprint.
Yeah,
you know,
I just
it's a
read.
very serious.
I just
yeah.
read. I think it was 2 days ago. There was a protest, and a young boy was a protest over the food and medicine shortage, and the young boy was
There's no
killed.
medicine.
And being myself from another country, I'm from Europe.
Yeah.
I know how tough it is when you can't be there physically, and you have to turn the news on to see, you know, and talk to your loved ones on the phone to hear what's going on. And so I know, is any of your family coming, or are they
So
transitioning?
my dad and my stepmom are making the transition. You know, I was able to provide residency for my stepmom. My dad is now finally making his transition and applying for
And so you're
residency
helping
himself.
them.
Yeah.
So you're dealing with the renovations. You're dealing with Damien. You're dealing with your mom.
Yeah.
I mean, you do so many things.
Yeah.
I know this about you, and you never say no. Do you have any weaknesses?
I probably, because I don't say no.
I'm like,
you know,
it's like, you know, you manage it all so well, and I mean, is it the status? Is it the money that's helped you?
No, not at all. I mean, if anything, I think that actually makes things worse, to be honest with you, because people assume that you don't need help. You know, I think, like I was saying earlier, I mean, for me, you know, whatever I personally do and whatever I personally choose to take on, I always feel like it's my responsibility. It's not, it's not coming from whatever platform, you know, has come from through the NFL or anything like that, and or Damien's, if you will. It has to come through me, and that's a responsibility that I take on, if you know what I mean. So with that being said, I think that's why it's so easy sometimes for Damien to be able to say, you know, we are going to do this. but in reality, then, you know, I'm the one who ends up wearing that, you know, extra hat, which is, you know, neither here nor there. But, you know, going through all of this past year, I think what I have learned is that the support that you build around yourself, with, you know, between friends and your church and, you know, your network, I mean, is so valuable, and that sometimes it's okay to reach out to the village and say, I need help.
Yeah.
You know, so that's something that I've definitely learned this past year.
I mean, you're so strong. You know, I've seen you. I've seen you be a wife, a mom, a sister, a daughter. When Damien was nominated to be the 2015 LLS Man of the Year,
Yeah.
I mean, you were the campaign manager.
Yes.
Of course.
Yeah.
And that was in the midst of your move.
Yes, it was.
And most of all, what I appreciate about you is that, you know, you always volunteer your house, whether it's your rental house or your personal house. Never say no. I mean, you're very, very unselfish. You're very, very giving. And there are very few people that I personally have met that are able to do that. And thank you for sharing that with us, because people need to know, you know, it hasn't been always, you know, on cloud nine. I mean, you've had your challenges, but you push through. You find a way to push through.
Yeah, and I think if anything, that's the one thing that it's hard to put into words. But I know that it comes from having a really solid foundation. I think that none of it would happen if we didn't have a solid foundation in who we are as individuals, who we are as you know, within our marriage, you know, and in relationship with one another. I know that it comes 100% from God. Whether, you know, to anybody whether they choose to believe in God or not, you know, is such a personal choice. But I know for us, that's truly where it comes from. Because no matter what, life is always going to throw curveballs, but it's really about how you react to them. And again, back to this past year, with all of these different changes going on, I think from the outside looking in, you know, it could look like massive chaos, you know, but for us, it's kind of living in a normal, because life is chaos. Nothing is ever perfect, but it's truly just about being able to figure out how you can push through each one of those things and still maintain your integrity, maintain your character. And I think that is always a struggle. And I know for me personally, being able to be that support to my family going through what they're going through right now, because emotionally it is hard to see them go through that, especially when you live in a country that has everything, and to see them go through that, it is hard. Yeah. It is hard.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay. They're gonna be fine. I'm just glad that at least, you know, some of them are making their way out, but it's not possible for all of them. And it's hard.
I think it's
being
because
separated.
you, with your super huge heart, you probably don't want to just help your family. I know you want to help everyone.
Yeah.
And I think you hit it on the head. It is, you know, prayer that is going to help, but the only thing that can help. And I think sometimes things like that become magnified when you have things going on here. And you're right. I appreciate you saying that. We get so sidetracked, because even the poorest of the poorest, where we live,
Right.
do so much better than others in other countries.
Right.
And yeah.
And I understand. I mean, it's not it's not something that you can't make everyone take that on.
Yeah.
You know, but
it's important to create that awareness.
right.
It's important for people to know that you participate in people's grief, that you are not just, and I say this reluctantly, but there is a stereotype. You know, there is the infamous stereotype that, oh, you know, you're a professional athlete's wife. Oh, all you do is probably shop, live in a big house, drive a nice car, and that's it.
Right.
But there is so much more to what you do, and we know that. We know it, and we want other people to know it too, because you are the poster child when it comes to that. And I appreciate you sharing it. I appreciate it because it's important for people to know. The question I have for you is, what do you want people to know about the pit bull in a skirt, like Silvana? You know, what is it that you want people to know? If someone were to say, yes, you've been, you know, born and raised in Venezuela, international student, fell in love with Damione, got married, NFL, You've been, you've seen a lot of things that a lot of people haven't seen. You've met a lot of people of status. I mean, you're a person of status. But what do you want people to know about you?
That's a good question. I think the biggest thing is I take pride in being a mom. I mean, I have my master's degree and all that fun stuff, and I know that when the time is right, that I will definitely take on something that, fulfills me, on another level. But I take pride in that, and I take pride in being able to give my husband 100% support. That's what makes our marriage beautiful, and I wish, that other marriages would have the same exact thing, the same amount of respect and value towards one another. Because if there's anything, that's the one thing that I'm more than beyond grateful for, is that Damione supports me 100%. We can have our little tiffs, but again, it's all in love, and I think that that's a huge thing.
I mean, you smile all the time, to me, you know. But I know there's a little feistiness, too.
Yeah. There's got to be feistiness. There's got to be feistiness, Yeah. But, I mean, I feel like if in order to, be, again, excellent and succeed at everything that you do, you have to be committed, and you have to know what it is. You have to be able to see an end result and an end goal, and want to be able to get after it and put the people in place to help you do it. And I think that that's where a lot of times, to share what I want people to know about me in that aspect is that, I take pride in being a mom, I take pride in being a wife, but I take pride in being, involved with our church. I love that. I love leading TC group. It's so funny to even say the word lead, because to us, it's like we're just a part like anyone else. We're human like anyone else. I'm not the wife of a retired football player. That just happens to be what he does, or what he did for a living. I'm his wife, but I'm not the wife of his career. We're community volunteers. I love the work that we've done with the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society here in Charlotte. I love the fact that we've just teamed up with Samaritan's Feet to be ambassadors for them, and help them grow their mission. Those are the kinds of things that I absolutely want to be able to say when people, ask about me, that's what I do.
Well, it's that spirit, and it's that transparency that, and I can say this for you because I'm not just talking to you today. I talk to you all the time. I mean, the one thing that I want to tell you thank you for is not just for sitting down with me today, but just for being the friend that you are. I know that whether you lead a Bible study, whether you do all these things, it's your transparency that I think is a gift to all of us. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. And I appreciate you for sharing. I know it wasn't tough. No, it was tough, I should say. I know it wasn't easy.
Yeah.
And I know I'm asking you, to step out of your comfort zone to say some of these things that have happened over the years, but I just want to let you know I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. I really mean that.
Thank you, Michaela. Thank you. Oh. Thanks.
You've been watching A Pro-Wife Story, presented by Michaela Scurlock and the Carolina Panthers.